I've talked a lot about what it's like to switch from a traditional phone to the Surface Duo, but no one's really talking about what it's like to go from the Surface Duo to a traditional phone and then maybe back to the Surface Duo. So for those who don't know, I got my Surface Duo on launch day September 10th, pre-ordered, picked it up that morning from my local Best Buy, and I used it up until about a little over a week ago now when I started having this weird issue. I guess technically I shouldn't say it started having this issue a week ago, because it actually started the first time quite a bit before that. And this is what it would do. It would shut off in my hand, and when you try to turn it on, it would give you that low battery symbol, even though it in fact had 70% of a charge. The only way to get it to turn on would be to plug it in, let it sit for a minute, then unplug it, at which point it would go ahead and boot as if nothing was wrong. Now, what did happen about a week ago is it started doing this profusely. It would shut off, plug it in, unplug it, boot, 2 or 3 minutes later, shut off, rinse, repeat. The phone had become utterly unusable to me. So I went, contacted Microsoft through their little help portal, sent the guy back for a warranty, and a couple days ago received a brand new Surface Duo from Microsoft. The big bummer here is that I had a skin on mine and screen protectors and all that good stuff. So I'm glad I've got a functioning Duo back, but I'm a little bummed out that I wasted the money on the skin and the screen protectors. But because of that, I went about a week without having my Surface Duo. So there were 2 phones that I tried using in that span. One was a Pixel 3, not the XL, just the standard Pixel 3. So you can imagine going from this to this, pretty different experience. And then I also used my OnePlus 7 Pro, which is a gargantuan giant phone. So let's talk about my experience going from the Duo back to a quote-unquote traditional phone. So first I tried using the Pixel 3, and the first thing I noticed trying to use this as my daily driver compared to the Surface Duo was the screen real estate. This is a small phone, okay, and you've got the chin and the forehead, and that makes the screen even a little bit smaller. When you talk about differences in screen real estate, the vertical screen space on one to the other, not a big deal. It's the horizontal that's really a big difference. And a lot of people actually didn't like how wide the Surface Duo screen is. I actually like the width of the screen because this vertical space, when you're talking about something like the OnePlus 7 Pro that is that 2:1 aspect ratio, it's very tall. It's strangely enough, it's not that much wider actually than the Pixel 3, but it is a heck of a lot taller. So you're getting a bigger screen, but it's all this way. And in this space up here, I can't reach it. I can't reach that with my thumb. I can't even get close to that without totally shifting my hand. When you're watching a video, you wind up having, a big black bar on either side unless you zoom in, and then you're losing stuff on the top and the bottom. I've said before, I don't understand why you would want a super duper tall screen. I don't see any benefit of it. Sure, you can have 2 apps split screen in perfect squares, but no one does that. I don't do it. No one does it. So initially, the Pixel 3, what did I experience using it? So the screen is really small, especially by comparison. When you're reading text, it wraps and wraps and wraps because you just can't fit that many words on a screen that's that narrow, and then it's a small screen. So, you're just dealing with fewer things on the screen. The camera is awesome. Whether I was using this or the OnePlus phone, I actually really enjoyed pulling my phone out of my pocket, taking a picture, and it being a good picture. I probably took more pictures. I definitely took more pictures with these 2 phones in my pocket than I did with the Duo in my pocket because the Duo's camera just isn't reliable. It's not very good. After a little bit, I got really mad at this thing's terrible battery life, having to continually plug it in, and the screen being really small. So then I put that away, and I got my OnePlus 7 Pro back out, which was my daily driver up until I got the Duo. So the battery life is better here. It's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and it's a newer phone, so the battery is not degraded as much. Cameras are just fine. They're not as good as the Pixels in reliability, but I still was taking far more pictures with this in my pocket than with the Duo. But then I found myself annoyed in certain instances trying to use this thing, one-handing it. If you're scrolling and interacting with something on the bottom half of the screen, you're fine. But if you have to do anything up here, It's just too tall. And I had adjusted to it before, but I had unadjusted to it with the Duo. The speakers on either one of these phones are far better than the Surface Duo. They're much louder, much clearer. However, I found myself less likely to do something I did with my Duo a lot, which was set it up in tent mode and watch a video while I was preparing lunch or dinner or something like that. Here's another interesting thing. So what about gaming? We had started playing Minecraft over the last few weeks with several friends. So I thought I can load up Minecraft on my Android phone and log into my Realm and play that way. Well, when you're playing on this thing, here's the problem I had. It's such a tall, long screen when it's this way. As I'm trying to play something like Minecraft, you can't reach the middle of the screen to interact with things. You're like this. You can't. It's awkward. Your hands naturally are here, but you have to use a different control scheme with Minecraft, and it's awkward because you can't reach the middle of the screen. That was better on the Pixel 3 because you can reach it much easier. But all in all, I found myself really rejecting 18:9 or 2:1, however you want to call it, and even the aspect ratio on the Pixel 3. I no longer felt good using a tall, skinny display. That's not even to mention quote-unquote multitasking on a screen like that. There just isn't multitasking. I got used to, using the swipe up and over on OnePlus phones to quickly switch between apps, and I guess that's the same gesture on the Pixel as well. But that's what you have to do. You can't multitask, not truly. You're going between apps. You're constantly occluding whatever app it is you were just using to bring up the other app. So multitasking just wasn't there. And strangely enough, because of that, I started actually pulling my Surface Pro 7 out much more frequently than I was when I had my Duo. Often when I was looking for news topics, keeping abreast of the different situations going on, I would be scrolling through Twitter or Reddit on my phone, and I would be reading an article or something, and I would get frustrated that I was having to type in a note, share a URL or something, and I would get mad, and I would just put my phone in my pocket and get my Surface Pro 7 out and use that instead because I could have a bigger screen. I could multitask more easily through Windows. When I had my Surface Duo, I was using my Surface Pro 7 very much less. So there's some good and some bad. The battery life on these other phones did not impress me versus the Surface Duo. In fact, I'm getting, maybe it's because it's a new phone, the battery's not degraded. My Duo's battery life has been really good. It's definitely been as good as the OnePlus and much, much better than the Pixel 3s. OnePlus 7 Pro has crazy fast charging, so that's a common thing out there, 30 watt or higher fast charging. It didn't really matter to me because the battery should last all day anyways. The 7 Pro was doing it, the Duo was doing it. The charging being 30 watt, 60 watt, whatever, doesn't really get me that excited because, to be honest, I'm not needing to charge until it's nighttime anyway, so that really didn't come up. So I guess on the positive side here for using another phone, cameras, the gestures seem to work better. I never really had any issues with either of those phones not responding to home or back or anything like that. It's much more polished, much less buggy. But on the bad side, no multitasking. Sometimes the battery life was considerably worse, and I really just don't like tall screens anymore. So that's all on the axis of going from the Duo to another phone. Well, how have I felt picking this Duo back up? A couple of things I want to kind of mention about having my Duo back. I immediately noticed that this device, the opening and closing, the hinge, where my other one was smooth, this one, and I may be crazy, but it feels even smoother. And I don't know if that's because my old one felt this smooth to start and then had degraded, or if it was ever this smooth. I really don't know. I'm also noticing that the magnetic assistance as it gets close to closing does seem a bit stronger as well. Again, that may be because my hinge was a little bit stiffer than this. Hard to say. I wish I had the old one in my hand to compare them. But other than that, I'm having an identical, experience performance-wise with this Duo as my other Surface Duo. So you pick this thing up, I load up Minecraft. Well, guess what? Immediately, I'm feeling good because I'm playing at an aspect ratio where I've got a big screen, but I can still reach the middle of the screen. I've got a lot of things on there where I can see what I'm doing, but I can't, I don't have any issues reaching the middle of the screen. Using it in tent mode or laptop mode to watch a video or, whatever. Awesome. Immediately, my workflow is back when it comes to multitasking with split screen, where I've got Twitter, Reddit, OneNote, YouTube Studio, looking at comments, pulling up a link on another screen, all these things, all that workflow of not having to occlude what I'm doing, having two things simultaneously. Awesome. Love having that back. I have to admit something. When my old Duo died, I got really frustrated and I started thinking, man, should I have even bought this thing in the first place? Should I have tried to return it after, 2 weeks or something? And after the frustration subsided, and I was using these other phones after a few days, I started thinking, no, I didn't make a mistake. I miss this thing. I miss having this in my pocket. I miss using it. I miss the feeling of it, and I miss the multitasking. It has its problems that frustrate me, and people criticize this thing, and a lot of the criticisms are valid. But I went a week without it, and I missed it. I wanted it back. And when I had it back, when I finally got it the other day and got this thing set up again, I've been really happy, and there's no desire to pick one of these things up. The only reason I will pick up another phone is to take a picture. That is it. So guys, that was my hopefully revealing or interesting experience of being without my Surface Duo for a week, what that experience was like, and then having the Surface Duo back again and what that has been like. So stay tuned for more Duo coverage. We're hoping that November update comes out. Maybe, it may be already out by the time this video goes live actually. So who knows, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So stay tuned for more videos like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Scary If Literal member. You'll get access to a whole bunch of emoticons to use with live streams and a shout out on an upcoming video. Thanks as always for your continued support.